An Australia without rugby league is not Australia. Rugby league has been a fabric of our society for hundreds of years. It's people's escape, it's people's relaxation, and we need to do everything in order to continue that great tradition of rugby league.
It has been those Australians who have worked hard every day. They have their dreams, they have their aspirations. These are the quiet Australians who have won a great victory tonight.
Well, hello everybody. Dennis Carnahan, Chris Gale, Stephen First. I'm over the pain. It's been a few days now. It's another week, another loss, and rugby league stinks. I hate it. I hate it more every week.
Every time you hear that opening theme music, like that's an
I'm
amazing
excited.
piece of music. It lifts you up and you get quiet again.
Can I say why I'm excited?
Please.
Because we can say on this particular episode of Fire Up's Quiet
The
Australia.
Tigers are not in ninth position.
Well, that's true.
Yes.
Coming up,
Oh.
we have an interview with former Western Suburbs great Mick Liubinskas, where we get to the bottom of the Liubinskas affair.
That just gets my blood moving. The Liubinskas
This
affair.
affair.
That's a movie in the making, and rugby league of any code needs a movie right now, and a feel-good movie too, and a mystery.
Yeah, and I think you'll find that it is actually a sequel to 3 Days at the Condor.
Yes, because Mick sort of vaguely hints that he's a lover, not a fighter.
Yes.
So that could be in there as well.
And
Does this go along with the Petrovsky affair, the Petrov affair? Was
well,
that, it was similar time or a little
Big
bit?
government, power, yes,
yes.
royalty.
Controversy.
weren't the Petros
Conspiracy.
bundled onto an aeroplane at Seaford Oval? Was that right?
Well, the question is, did they have the point? We'll get to that a bit
That's
later.
right, the missing point.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that where it went?
And also after a little bit of a COVID scare last week, which prevented us from going out, we have
Or coming
all
in.
the feedback from producer Pat's magnificent idea about what expression should be retired from rugby league.
Pages and pages and pages.
Producer Pat, for example, very much in favour of retiring the expression Fijian flyer. And we're going to go into that feedback and hear your stories.
And the sad thing about, or the great thing about that is, I don't want to take most of these out.
No.
I want them to
This is why you listen to rugby league.
like,
the cliches.
for example, the number of people who want to retire, not his go.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't want
What's
to retire.
wrong with those people?
I've got no idea.
Now, can I add something to the lexicon right now?
Yes.
Now, nothing sends the chill up most rugby league players than the term revenge porn scandal, which is only
boy.
that's just blown up right now. And I'm saying the players may hate it, the media love it. We certainly take a little bit of delight. And can we broach that at all?
Well, it's in the media on the very day that this podcast has been captured for posterity, Stephen.
Yeah, Tony Staggs.
Yes.
That's a made-up name, surely. Surely.
Oh, the player.
Yes.
Not the. This
Not
isn't
the porn star.
Right.
No.
Okay.
What is it? You take the name of your first pet and the street that you grew up
Or the
in?
month you grew up or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
it.
I'm Tubby Lyndhurst.
What was the first your pet?
Yeah.
Your first pet?
Yeah, your first pet.
Oh, gee whiz. Top street name as well.
Yeah.
Toppy Boundary.
I think
Your pet was called Toppy. Dennis?
Auntie Olivera Currong.
That's no good. That'll get you nowhere fast.
I think we'll go with Tubby Lyndhurst. But yeah, Katoni Staggs, you know.
Yeah. Look, by all accounts, we don't look at that sort of stuff. But we've been told
not unless it gets sent to us.
Those that take interest in those things, it's very sensual. There are bubbles, there's foam, there's eyes up,
Is this in Ibiza?
eyes up, loving. It's in the privacy of someone's home.
There might be a bit of Fergie action
toes?
stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
gee, haven't Fergie and Andrew had a good time lately?
Right.
Uh,
Lava lamps.
And I mean, I look, I haven't seen the content. I wouldn't look at the content unless it was shown to me. But apparently, even Fox Sports has used the words that the video is sensitive.
Where's the
Sensitive.
revenge in that?
When they say sensitive, is the content matter? Is it steamy kind of sensitive, or are they saying it's a sensitive issue and it's legal and we probably shouldn't look at it?
Now, I believe the matter is in the hands of the authorities, and there's a woman being questioned, and there might be charges being laid.
Because this is, of course, a crime.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's just
and
be
we
clear about
absolutely
it.
don't make light of that.
No.
Having said that, maybe the revenge is showing Katoni you don't quite meet the mark. I remember there was a famous scandal
I
around
stand
it.
up against the wall while I get my
tape measure.
Right, well,
It doesn't-
and that sort of thing.
doesn't
Well,
earn
yeah.
his
There's
surname.
nothing wrong with that, is there?
You haven't got the move. You haven't got the Seinfeld swirl. And I do remember there was a famous celebrity video, and the main question most people were asking when they were looking at the video go, is it them? I'm not really sure that it is them. Whereas one of my friends, who won't be named as Peter Collar, would go, who's a bit of a connoisseur of these matters, goes, the lighting here is terrible. They're only using one camera.
Yeah.
I mean, what's going on here?
Yeah.
So maybe the revenge is Katoni, it's just like not quality
And
stuff.
what's Burt Reynolds doing in the background?
I saw Boogie Nights in Miami. What a great place to see it.
It's a great film, but it certainly wears, I think, by the second or third time. I find it
How many times have you watched it, Stephen?
2. No, probably 3.
I was happy at 1. That was enough.
Great soundtrack. That's all I'm telling you now. Well, look, can I also mention while we're talking about videos, TikTok seems to have every day it rears its ugly head, doesn't it?
Oh, it certainly
Is it going to be
does.
dumped from America? You know, who's involved in what sort of stuff? We all know that Nathan Cleary, so the number one player in the code at the moment, Cameron Smith has gone way down that ladder, is now in the papers again because of TikTok. And what happened with the nubiles? I think was it 6 or 8 nubiles? 6 nubiles.
6 Penrith nubiles. And again, love the image that in Penrith there's just cars full of nubiles.
Nubiles
driving around
roaming,
to
looking
do-
for a rugby league player
on the drink, looking for TikToks.
to dance with. Yeah, I know.
Your video phone just went off because your latest TikTok just came through, right? Well, I mean, it's got ramifications on a global scale. I mean,
Yeah.
Trump is looking to shut it down.
Yeah.
And Nathan Cleary's been docked.
Yeah.
6 competition Dally M points.
So it's the Chinese again. Not the Chinese, the Communist Party, the Chinese, CCP,
CCP.
at it again. They're undermining everything and they're trying their best at rugby league. And that's the
you
only way to
think-
bring down Nathan Cleary, so be it.
With his dad's Ivan. There's got to be something
Russian-
communist there.
Russian
surely.
communist, yeah,
You
Marxist.
think that he'd be in it?
But it's 3 points for each game you're suspended because Nathan got 2 game suspension, right? So he's currently on 11 points, trailing West Tigers Harry Grant by 2 points. As
Did
it went
you look
into,
at the camera then?
Yes, as it went into lockdown.
Right.
Okay, so Nathan slips to 5, but he would have got 3 points on Saturday for an outstanding performance against the Manly Warringah Seagulls.
Yeah.
So he's still a chance to win
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
But can you imagine? And would they be able to accommodate the player who actually goes negative? So that you have so many suspensions that you're like minus 15. Would that actually show up on the
So
leaderboard?
that would mean you get a wooden spoon.
Is that like the raspberries?
It'd be
Yeah,
the
it'd be
reverse
special.
Dally M. It'd be like the
Yeah.
Dally W or something.
wanna go to that party.
That'd be fantastic. and let me tell you, the competition could
Yeah.
be quite hot.
So, in a sense, though, it was the fact that he was breaking COVID restrictions that docked him the points and a little bit of lying on top. TikTok wasn't really to blame, was it?
Look,
Except it went video.
I think the issue was more actually the lying. Like there's
Yeah.
obviously there have been big concessions made to the game to keep going as long as they stick to these rules. Hence
Yeah.
the Queensland, which has sort of given up on its vaccine thing. So that he broke those rules.
Yeah.
Then he lied about it. And when he lied about it, he lied about it.
I
So
say-
he went
I
to
say-
double lie.
well, it was the sin of omission, wasn't it?
It was the sin of omission.
They didn't ask me
Yeah.
about the TikTok video, so I didn't see any need to mention it.
I say dock him, TikTok him.
TikTok, you're docked.
Absolutely. Well, it is. So that's the thing, that because the Dally M is supposed to be about the best. It's not a best and fairest. It's 3 points. It's only an on-field thing.
Yeah.
So this is sort of making it a best and fairest. He's getting penalised. His playing ability is getting penalised for his off-field.
Yes.
So you'd think that this should go. He should. What was like the biggest grub award? He should be going for that because he's brought the game into disrepute.
We need to do a bit of research to find out what the Dally M Awards are supposed to be. What's its mission statement?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of debate about whether fairest actually
Yeah.
forms
Can I also
part
say,
of the
while
fair-
we're-
Ferris, whether
Yeah, the
Ferris should be part
best
of
and
it.
fairest.
Can we talk about the brand new Ferris? There's no relation to me playing for Cronulla Sharks.
Isn't
Jackson.
that beautiful? Oh, nonsense. There's
Debut.
your youngest brother. There's so many Ferris brothers, you don't know which
We
is
don't
which.
know.
And as we've said, the youngest,
The Irish
youngest always
breed well,
the
you
best.
know.
The youngest always the best.
Well,
The
I mean-
youngest of the Tavoyevich brothers, he's the best. The
Ah.
youngest of the Ferrises,
Right.
he's the best.
I always think of you as being a soul and disco aficionado.
Yes.
Pee-wee, of course, hard dance.
Yes.
What about your other brothers? Where do they tend to land?
John's pretty hard.
Right.
But he covers a few other bases as well.
And Jackson would be trap, I imagine, would he?
I think Kid Leroy all the way. Yeah.
Well, 16-year-old phenomenon.
Yeah.
Now, no
while
one's talking about him, except everybody is.
Everybody is, yeah. CCP, Chinese Communist Party, one more thing. What's going on with the Huawei Raiders?
What do you mean? What do we do? Well, what?
How come that's been sort of under the radar?
It has
Why is
been
that even
fascinating.
allowed?
And someone actually made a gag about imagine if it might have been Batuta. Imagine if they allowed multinationals to sponsor And they called them the Huawei Broncos. No. If you look at it carefully, you go and Google who does Huawei sponsor.
Yeah.
They sponsor the Raiders. Where are the Raiders? The capital city. They sponsor the Washington, formerly the.
Look at that!
No, they do. They sponsor.
I know.
Like Real Madrid.
That's clever.
Every team they sponsor is in a foreign country's capital city, including the US,
Of course.
France.
That's where the secrets are.
That's where the secrets are, and where they're trying to lobby the government to use Huawei gear for the 5G.
Yeah.
Does this show?
why.
My question is, what if they ban Huawei? I guess you get a new sponsor.
I guess for new sponsors.
Canberra Milk will come back.
The Snowy Hydro
I like
Raiders.
it.
How about
Snowy
that?
2.
The Snowy Raiders.
Snowy 2.
The Snowy 2 Raiders.
That's good.
Every article that's written about Canberra these days, because the latest one is that Canberra takes on Penrith Panthers this weekend. Canberra has flown 13,000 kilometres this season and Penrith 2,700. So again, it's Canberra bias, right?
Yep.
They're not on free-to-air TV.
As in against Canberra.
Against Canberra,
Yeah.
They're not, you know,
Yep.
Ricky Stewart goes, I don't want to whinge, but, and then produces the figures.
Yeah.
And then, you
I
know,
would too.
we're not on free-to-air TV yet. We were grand finalists, beaten 6 again.
Mm-hmm.
But doesn't this show your problem that no more venerable a
There's so
satirical
many more.
institution than the Batuta Advocate makes a joke about Huawei being on a jersey,
And they don't
oblivious to
even
the
know.
fact that the Raiders have constantly sponsored by them.
They've already got one. Exactly.
Wow, there's legs in that story. I'm telling you now. Now, what I want to talk about, I don't want to talk about Gus Gould just yet or Peter Volandis. I want to talk about how did the Melbourne Storm sneak up to second? How did that happen? Well, we weren't looking.
Hey, well, they've always been there, haven't they?
Have they?
Isn't that
Damn,
part of
man.
it's part of the charter? It's part of the rules of
Yeah.
rugby league at the Storm, because
I live in a
they're a Queensland team,
Head in the
and
clouds.
Queensland has a guarantee, a quota. There has to be a team in the top 8, so they get the Storms because
Jeez,
the others
it
are
totally
dubs.
makes sense that they're in the Sunshine Coast.
Sunshine Coast
Yeah.
Storms.
They can still call themselves Melbourne Storm in name, you know. No Melbourne players, no Victorian players. Don't
Never has
exist,
been.
right? Never has been.
Yep.
They're now sitting pretty with Chris. How many members in their bubble community?
115, Stephen. Most teams have 50, 55. That's why when I went out to the Old Girl on Friday night to see the West Tigers collapse against the Vodafone Warriors, to give them their correct name, someone said to me, where are the cheerleaders? I said, mate, they're not in the bubble.
Yeah.
Well, somehow they found 115 that can squeeze into the Melbourne bubble up on the Sunshine Coast.
It's like Jim Carrey in that movie. They're all playing their part. But the thing is, it's a beautiful space. Palm trees.
Truman Show.
Yeah, they got waitresses coming out with cocktails as you lie on the pool. The kiddies are looked after. The wives are happy.
Is it one of Clive Palmer's resorts? Is there dinosaurs in a Titanic?
I think
Is
it's
that-
Christopher Skase, actually.
It's the Skase
Yeah, it's
with
one
the
of his
palm
resorts.
trees.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Sunshine Coast, something
Is
like
he
that.
still there?
Skase, he could be. What you could divine, though, is we watched, and I thought it was a fantastic fixture, the Storms and the Newcastle Knights, and that Ryan Pappenhausen ex-Tigers try,
Pappenhausen.
quite a picture.
That's a beauty. Yeah.
But the non-socially
you saw his
distanced
tweet?
crowd, you know, up on the hill at Sunshine Coast Stadium, 115 in the bubble, lo and behold, it turns out the rules don't apply to Melbourne. The rules don't apply to Cameron.
You're shocking me. Now, there's a ray of sunshine, isn't there? Cameron Smith finally got injured.
Well, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly got
He's
injured.
getting his new parts now, right?
He's getting his new bits.
List
yeah.
management, are you saying, Dennis?
Needing a break. You know, Harry Grant's not there yet, so they're just going to.
Was it not suspicious that Smith scores the try, gets up, celebrates without any difficulty, and then, shoulder, you know, a couple of weeks off, preserving the body. You know he's the 2,320 day man because he hasn't missed a game for the last 2,320 days.
Is that the truth?
That's the truth.
There's no, that's not right. No,
It's
I'm
not
saying
human.
that's right. That's not human.
That's not
There's
human.
not possible.
But we knew that.
Precisely, it's not human.
We knew he's not human.
Either that or his greatest skill is avoiding being touched.
The thing that I loved about it was hearing all the commentators go that they got the word from the sideline, it's his AC. And they've gone, oh, he's done his knees. Like, no, the AC joint, not the ACL, not the.
Yeah.
Is that a rotator cuff,
No,
Dennis?
the AC. It's,
Or is it adjacent to the
no,
rotator cuff?
It's the acromioclavicular joint. If you look at your clavicle
Clavicle.
joins the acromial process on your
experience with
shoulder
this?
blade. Yes, I have. I've done an AC. I've done an AC.
Now, talking of knees, one person who's got no problems with the knee is Israel Folau.
Well,
Well, he actually does. Doesn't like to get down on them.
No, that's right. Avoid the knee at all costs.
Unless he's in his father's church.
And
in,
the world
in
was
Hills
not
District.
shocked.
are we coming back to the Melbourne resort at all?
We are, of course.
Good.
Yes, yes.
Can I be controversial in this? Phil Lutton wrote an article in the Herald
Indulge
this
us.
morning.
Yeah.
Did he? That's not controversial at
That's
all.
not controversial.
That's what he does.
But he said, who knows what Israel's reasons for not taking the knee were? And let's face it, who would know? But he said he can't be criticised for that. Like,
He can't be?
In the NBA, which
He's the
is
only one standing.
I think he spelled it wrong. I think the real thing is, who cares what Israel Folau does? Why is this in the paper? I don't care.
Well, he's
I
playing
don't care.
the Super League, Dennis.
I don't care
You've got
what's-
to
I
report
don't
the
care.
facts.
But I don't want to say...
You can't have your Huawei vision of the world where just the Chinese are, this is the world
It's not just-
as we see it. We have to see the world as it
If
is.
a player I cared about or listened to or did something, if Nathan Cleary goes and does a TikTok, I care.
Yeah.
He's bringing the game to... If Israel Folau does something, I don't care.
Don't care, yeah,
I'm done.
yeah.
I'm done with him.
Because if he was in China,
Do
his
what you
testicles
want.
would be wired up to some sort of battery right now.
Do what
wouldn't
you
they?
want,
Or
Israel.
he'd be dead.
Right.
One of the two.
Well, or he'd be wearing a Huawei jumper.
Or they
but-
go, no, congratulations on your stance.
But the NBA, which has resumed in the WNBA has resumed in a university precinct, and the NBA is on the Disney World bubble. And
You've lost me completely, Chris.
Right, the basketball
Yeah.
resumed this last
Men's
weekend.
and women's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, they've taken a stand on two issues: racial justice and police brutality.
Yeah.
And most of the players before the games taking the knee, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
They have various slogans on their shirt. I love Joe Ingles from the Utah Jazz, Australian player,
Is that a
Caucasian. He
Utah Jazz?
Yeah.
That's more obscure than the Storm.
It's a great story. They were originally the
Can we
New
go to
Orleans.
Dragon St. George's Disco?
Oh, well,
the blue light disco.
Oh, the disco. I'll
Cronulla
go
blue
there,
light
yeah.
disco.
don't get me started. I'll start.
Disco Shoe turns up every week. He's their mascot.
I'll tell you why the Los Angeles are called the Los Angeles Lakers and really bore you.
Yeah.
But he has Ally on the back. Now, Greg Popovich, no greater a spokesperson on these matters, and Becky Hammond, assistant coach at the San Antonio Spurs, where Pop coaches, both didn't take the knee but have been strong advocates for the issues. And it is a matter of personal choice. And for once, leave Israel alone.
Why?
I still think
He's a
it's more a
must.
matter of... like I said, I don't care.
And I'm only saying for once, because
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
other stuff, can I use the word so popular in professional wrestling, heinous,
Yeah.
but you can't draw an inference from someone not taking the knee in this current environment.
Yeah.
Well, I think you just can't... Surprise, surprise, Israel Folau did something rat-baggy. Surprise!
Yeah.
Why? How is that news? Of course he
Exactly.
did. He woke up this morning and he had some cereal or something rat-baggy. Everything he
Yes.
does is rat-baggy.
Yes.
I'm sick of it. I don't want to hear
I
about
love it
it.
when we get serious.
Red bag flavoured cereal, isn't it?
It's a rat-bag. He's just a
What a great,
rat-bag.
remember that show, Rat Bags?
And he's a...
Ratfink, I remember.
No, Rat Bags. It was
No, I
on.
don't.
It was with it was on the ABC with the guy who did Australia standing in it.
It's a great title, isn't it?
What was it? Rod Quantock.
Rod
yeah.
Quantock.
Oh,
Yeah,
great
yeah.
show. Rat
Yeah.
Bags, love it. Check it out. I think that's where Tim and Debbie first.
Who was the...
Debbie, yes, Tim.
The central... what do you call it? Not central west. The inner
Commentary
west.
position?
The inner west councillor who had the lavish wedding, the big cars.
Oh,
the
yeah,
probably
yeah,
the
that
best-
too.
Mahaja?
Salim
Yeah,
Mahaja.
Salim Mahaja.
I want to see a reality show of Salim Mahaja and Israel Folau. The two of them
Yeah.
belong together. I
And
care
who's
about
that,
as
who's
much
that guy on
about
The Bachelor with the moustache and the tattoos?
Kieran.
Oh. Kieran.
Kieran.
And him too.
What about Blake from The Bachelor as well?
Just call the odd triplet.
I tell you what, while we're talking
Well, that's
sport,
blind.
Yes.
does anybody watch the Ninja Turtle climb up the mountain?
No, but I know former Rooster Iloni Vunakesi has been part of the action.
Dropped out of it, I think.
Yeah.
Not very well.
Yeah.
You might have seen, who was it? It wasn't Paul Gallen. It was one of the big strong blokes. Collapsed on the first effort. I really love it because generally speaking, skinny rangers, gymnasts, hairy man bun types.
skinny ranger gymnast
You know,
sprinters.
what I'm saying is, it's
Your
diverse.
brothers. Your
it's
brothers.
diverse.
Your brothers.
Anyway,
Can we go back to the Storm bubble?
Yeah,
And
Storm
can
bubble.
I ask, they've got, according to these statistics that Chris Gale has produced, 115 in the bubble, 28 wives and partners, 35 kids, 15 under the age of 2. Now, how and why did they let the cowbell out of the state? Why is the cowbell on the Sunshine Coast? Couldn't they have left that out of the
Yeah.
bubble? Why is it in the bubble? Why
mean,
is it up there?
It was funny with Christopher Walken. That's about as far as it goes, right?
And it's done.
Done.
It's
no
been
one
done.
finds it
Christopher
interesting,
Walken has
amusing,
done it.
or invigorating. It's just damn annoying, isn't it?
done.
It's probably as irritating as that goddamn howling cat.
The oven bell. I'm getting in trouble. I'm going out to live games now, as I did on the weekend, because I also went and saw the Roosters at the
Excuse
Titans
me while I
at
just move
the old girl. I was up on the Sunshine Coast as well, so look out. And every time it goes, I just go oven bell. Oven bell.
Yeah,
it's just
oven bell.
like reflexive. By the way, the Christopher Walken Saturday Night Live sketch. I'm a big Blue Oyster Cult fan.
Doesn't surprise me at all, Chris.
And I was lucky enough to see them at Max Watts, as it's now known, a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yes, you got Don't Fear the Reaper, but you also got Godzilla, great track. And they've got a terrific album called Cultosaurus Erectus. Get onto that.
Get on with that
Which,
stuff.
funnily enough,
that's good stuff.
Was
That's
the
revenge
subtitle?
porn scandal stuff.
Tony Stagg's video.
I was going to ask what was the music in the background.
That's right.
Can you say that again?
Cultosaurus Erectus.
Cultosaurus erectus.
But this resort, set in tropical gardens surrounding a central private lagoon with its own sandy beaches, with complimentary water sports. Again, hello, Katoni
This
Staggs.
is reality TV, the best, isn't it?
It is set up.
Is Bo Derek up there?
Yeah. Bo still very active in social causes, which is a great story. I think it just was
And rugby league.
catching up on Bo. I think this is a great narrative because let's face it, you've got the sort of polar opposites that are Farmer Wants a Wife and Bachelor in Paradise, and neither of them completely satisfy. If we can bring the Storms together and their families in this bubble and just watch the evolution of all the lives and loves and the phasing out of the concept of Melbourne, because
Let's face it.
that's where we're going.
We're nearly there.
I know.
Yeah. Look, Cameron, he has foresight. You could say he's got a crystal ball. You could say he's got some sort of divine or anti-divine sort of skills, do I say?
Yeah, sure.
He could see what was happening in the state of
Oh,
Victoria
yeah.
and Melbourne
Prescient.
a long time ago.
Prescient.
Do you think you could see it, or do you think he caused it?
Or did he coerce it?
Do you think it's him?
Created
Do you
it.
think he started
It's the
it?
hand of Cameron Smith all over Victoria. No offence, Victorians.
None whatsoever.
None whatsoever. You and your families, we love you, and we're all in this together. Just come and enjoy some rugby league, you know,
On the TV.
on the TV.
Socially
Come
distant.
over here.
And
Yeah.
don't jump on the hill at Sunshine Coast Stadium and all bunch up.
Now, is this the year, the rise, talking about rise of demonic force, is this the rise of Gus Gould as a superpower himself on his own? Are we witnessing that right now, that he's been
Has he-
playing all the cards and moving all
Has
the
he not
parts?
always been? Like
Yeah, but I think it's coming into actualisation now.
He's a mischief. So this is the year he becomes. So 2020, we've
Supreme
had
leader.
bushfires, we've had floods, we've
Yeah.
had Corona, and now we've got Gus.
Gould.
Well, everyone thought it was all the Overlord. Everyone thought it was Peter
Yes.
V'landys.
He's the puppet.
But there's a bit of Wizard of Oz about this, isn't there?
There certainly is.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
The mantle is slipping. And this was really when he said, I think it's in the interest of the game to bring Gus Gould to do projects. I mean, projects.
Yeah.
And of course, everyone's immediately gone to, is it not a conflict of interest? And of course, people then point out there are a lot of commentators
rugby
who
league.
are doing
Yeah.
other things.
Yeah.
And Gus has described the concept of him having a conflict of interest as laughable. That was last Monday.
Yeah. I'm still laughing.
But Monday before last. Last Friday, he formally applied with his son Jack to be a player agent.
Yeah.
The name of the organisation?
Searoo?
Limitless Management.
Limitless,
Oh,
yes.
boy.
The future is ours.
And one would argue that now every role has been played by Gus Gould. And he will still regard, endorsed by the Overlord, the idea that this is a conflict of interest as laughable.
Yeah, he's an interesting looking character. For those who don't listen to rugby league or watch it at all, he's an interesting looking dude. And you remember from The Wizard of Oz when they finally discovered that he was a little man pulling levers with a fake voice, wasn't he?
Yeah.
To enhance his general sort of awesomeness.
Yeah, I will be surprised if we're here in a year's time. Fact.
Yes.
But if we are discussing Peter
Because we'll be
V'landys,
destroyed.
discussing Peter V'landys, I'd be very surprised.
Yeah.
You
We
think
will
it'll
be
all
discussing the cabal. I thought it was V'landys, Sonny Bill Williams, and Politis.
Yeah.
Take out V'landys, insert Gould,
Yeah.
job
Yeah.
done.
And V'landys knows that every horse has its time. You know, Winks only runs for a certain number of years. He knows that if he does the right thing by his mates, sets them up in place, out the door as quick as he can.
So that's the thing. It's bread and circuses.
Bread and
so he's got the circus, the horses going around the hippodrome. That's where V'landys comes from. Whereas Gus Gould was very strongly identified by Andrew Voss. He's a pantomime clown. He loves the theatre.
Yeah.
He loves the
Oh, yeah.
theatre of rugby league. So the bread and circuses we get next year,
Shakespearean.
comic.
Comic.
There'll be comic relief. He loves
Shakespeare
the
loved
laugh.
comedy.
He loves pantomime. That's Gus Gould.
And
that's what we're going to get.
And
that's rugby league.
And he'll parachute V'landys into the job that Peter covets, which will be an ambassador at the Melbourne Storm Sunshine Coast Resort, greeting the people as they arrive,
Right.
sipping a Mai Tai,
Yeah.
and watching the races on TV.
Right. Those in the bubble might just get the shit so and try to break out. What will happen to them?
Won't be pretty.
Won't be pretty, even in Queensland.
They'll be sent to a small island. They'll have a giant ball tied to them that'll bounce around after.
Right. Now, Chris, you're predicting, I haven't watched the Panthers for a couple of weeks, but you're saying they're red hot.
Nathan Cleary's a story, Stephen. And he's pulling the strings Gus Gould style.
Yeah.
and it's unconventional. There's little banana kicks to himself. There's Harbour Bridge passes to the new underpant.
Wow.
Charlie Staines.
Charlie Staines, we talked off air that where's he from? Forbes, I think.
The Forbes flyer.
And in all their sort of generosity, they said if he scores a try, we'll shout the bar. And of course, the bar was pretty big last weekend. How many did he score?
4.
That's right. They said, geez, I hope he doesn't do that again, because they kept the promise up every time, every week.
Well, the word is the barman, that the manager of the hotel has called Ivan and gone, can you just take him off? Like, he's scoring a try literally every 17 minutes.
Yeah.
Can you just take him off?
So it's 6 tries in 84 minutes of football.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ken Irvine, the greatest try scorer in all time?
Actually, it's 104, because he played the full game in the first week, and then there's 24 minutes.
Oh,
so he
right.
got taken off.
I thought they were describing on the weekend that he maybe didn't play the full game the first game. So 6 tries in 104 minutes. Ken Irvine scored tries at the rate of...
just over 1 a game, so about 84
And
minutes.
as Matt Russell, the commentator, pointed out to Blocker Roach in the call, you had 11 in your career, Blocker.
11 in his whole career. Well, he's not a scorer. He's not a try maker.
Wouldn't you love to see Blocker's face as Matt Russell said that to him?
Yeah. But having said that probably somebody in Ivan's mob, one of the sponsors, is then funding the bar for their back loss, correct? Keep everybody happy.
Or from the Russian mafia out in Penrith.
I don't know. A world where Penrith wins the title, I don't want to live in that world.
Do Uggs support the Panthers? They should.
You'd think.
You'd think.
No,
You need tights as well
Because
to
now
go with
that
the Uggs.
Penrith have moved up the social status ladder, so have Ugg.
Oak,
International,
Ugg, makes sense.
Ugg makes sense. Anything else you'd like to talk about, Chris?
I think we're going to come back and try and get to the bottom of the sequel to 3 Days of the Condor, the movie known as The Liubinskas Affair.
Yeah.
And then fan feedback later on in Quiet
Here we
Australia.
have the
Stephen.
document.
We've got it.
Yeah. See ya.
Ball back on the inside. There's the flashing light. It's blinking away like a blue light disco.
G'day, everybody. Dennis Carnahan.
Hello.
Chris Gale.
Hello, Stephen.
Hello, myself, Stephen First. This is Fire Up the Quiet Australian, and we're joined today by it's a very special sort of irregular sort of segment right now, and one that I'm looking forward to immensely. We're welcoming Mick Liubinskas with us right now. Good afternoon, Mick. How are you going?
Pretty good, boys. Thanks for having me.
Okay, a little bit of background. Chris, would you like to take it away?
We were talking on a recent episode of Fire Up's Quiet Australia about matters pertaining to rugby league, which is unusual for us. And for some reason, it came to my mind that there was a game in the 1970s involving the Western Suburbs Magpie, whose colours I'm proudly representing today, and the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. And there was an issue with a player who had played reserve grade maybe and then came on to first grade, scored a try, and it went from there. I'm referring, of course, to the Liubinskas affair. Mick, there are so many stories here, and we just said we had to cut to the chase. I had people like Greg Cross and Rick Yabsley coming at me from all angles. We went to the source. What happened back in 1975 at Belmore Oval?
Well, boys, this was a planned event. I had a coach back then, a bloke called Don Parrish, my first grade coach. Don had a plan to use me as a strike player or a strike weapon in the second half of the Canterbury game. So he made me play reserve grade that day, and I did come off the reserve grade about 10 minutes to go. So the idea was for me to go have a shower, have a bit of a rub down, put a fresh set of gear on and sit on the bench for the call which came from Don. And during that week, we had a planned move, and the planned move was obviously a run-around type situation with dummy players going through and me going through one way and a couple others going the other way. And the player who gave me the ball was a player called Chrissy Wellman, who comes from Cronulla. Now, it worked to a T, because all I remember is going through this hole. I had I think it was about a 90-metre run, but it was about a 25-metre run to the line. And I know the fullback coming across was a bloke called Gary Dowling, a great player, Gary. And he grabbed me just before the line, but I'd managed to dive over and score the try. And that consequently drew the game 7-all.
Three-pointer, of course, in those days?
Three-pointer, yep. Now, the game ended up in a 7-all draw, and I remember after the game, in the old days at Belmore, the doggies had these hot bars, so you can go in there and have a bath. And I come back in the dressing room, and there was all this hullabaloo and bullfrog more, and there was a lot of this argument going on. And someone said, "Well, he's illegal," and I'm going, "Well, hang on, I'm just following orders. You know, what do you do when you play? You do what the coach tells you to do." So run through that hole, score the try. That's what I did. So, but yeah, unfortunately, the league didn't see it that way, and I was supposed to complete a game in reserve grade, which I did. I just come off 10 minutes to go.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I played reserve grade. So, but that point has always been missing. We missed the semis that year because of that particular point missing.
So Mick, no lawyers were involved in this?
Not that I know of. I think it was a Phillip Street thing, and
Yes.
as you know, the Magpies have always had issues with Phillip Street. That's where the New South Wales Rugby League was. So,
Is that interesting that Sydney University Law School was in the same street and you still couldn't sort this out? Does the statute of limitations apply here? Is it too late to go back? Because as I understand it, that meant that Western Suburbs ended up in a three-way tie for fifth position with Parramatta and Balmain and ultimately went on to miss the playoffs. Is that right?
Correct, that's right. Yeah, we missed out that year because of that missing point, and it's still missing. And there was a famous columnist called Mike Gibson.
Yep.
And he wrote a great column the next day about the missing point. And apparently, Mike found out that it was actually taken by some rugby union people and held in captivity.
So Mick, you yeah. Carry on, sorry.
Mike's column outlined these. He said that the person who rang in was a person in a tweed coat with patches on his sleeves. So he must have been a rah-rah.
But we have a great distaste for rugby union on this show, Mick, and that's just reinforced it. And Rick Yabsley tells me that you meet around the time of the game every year and look for that missing point. Is that correct? For lunch?
Well, we try to. We have a lunch, and Rick's been gracious with his partner Shannon Kavanagh to put on this lunch, and we have this lunch at various venues throughout Sydney. We actually had one in Cootamundra one year when I see Les Boyd, but puts on a great lunch, some great stories. Both those guys are Western Suburbs fanatics and great supporters of the club, and we have a great lunch. And usually by the end of the day, you can't remember anything because we've had too many reds and we just toddle off to our own place. But every year there's some special invites. We've had some luminaries there and had some great lunches for sure.
But there must be some bad blood, Mick. There's got to be somebody you hate that you're targeting all that venom, all that vitriol towards ever since that day.
No, mate. No, I'm a lover, not a fighter.
Come on, you must be taking some delight in the family club as the dysfunctional family club right now at the foot of the table, the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs.
Well,
surely.
yeah, they're not travelling too well, but we got them in a couple of weeks too, so they didn't go too bad last week. No, but look, the thing is that that's the way it is. And unfortunately, I'm just happy to have this infamy in regards to this point, which I can have a lunch every year and get on the programs like yours.
Yes.
And now it's very exciting for me, Mick, because this is a story that I often tell, and I might have it slightly clouded. And I wonder if it was in relation to this game, but of course, Channel 7 used to cover the Sunday match of the day. And I remember you coming on and Rex Mossop saying to his sideline eye, Barry Ross, I believe Mick Liubinskas is on. Barry, I understand he's of Italian extraction. And he replied, no, Rex, he's from Wollongong. Now, have you heard that story?
No, I'll have to. I can take it up with Barry Ross because Rex is not around.
No,
my heritage is Lithuanian.
That's what I figured.
And Mick, that explains the lover, not a fighter, right?
The
Lithuanians, great lovers.
We were bad bastards, the Lithuanians. We actually ruled Europe in the 15th century, so we were the middle of Europe, so we were bad bastards.
So all that therapy certainly worked. The Dragon.
Yes, they won 11 straight in the 1600s. Yeah. If you're speaking to Barry, Mick, one of my other favourite comments of Barry, I think, was the 81 grand final when Newtown took on Parramatta and they let off smoke bombs. And Barry was caught in the middle of a blue and gold smoke bomb on the sideline of the SCG. Yeah. And Rex goes, you having a bit of trouble there? Barry goes, yes, Rex, lucky it's not Agent Orange.
Famous quotes.
Now, you played in what I like to refer to as the blood and thunder period of the mighty West Magpies at places like Lidcombe Oval. Did you have a run at Pratton Park at any stage?
Mate, I did. I actually played quite a few games at Pratton Park. My first game was in the Jersey Flag Grand Final where Western Suburbs Magpies played South Sydney, which was another another critical game, which was we believe we was robbed again. Scored one try and kicked a goal. Lost 6-5 between. They kicked 3 goals. Had 3 tries disallowed. The crowd was ropeable. The referee just barely escaped off the ground.
Can we name names?
But we were robbed. But Pratton was a great place to play at. But Lidcombe Oval was the cauldron where Roy, as we know, made that our home ground, and we wouldn't be defeated at Lidcombe Oval.
I imagine when you get together, what we used to get together with the dearly departed Arthur Summons, you'd be able to talk about We Was Robbed stories across the history of Western Suburbs. Mick.
Well, I think now that Arthur's gone, and unfortunately Noel passed away a couple of weeks ago. Noel was adamant in the 63, and he always said it, but that bastard, that referee, stole the game from us.
Was it Cole Page?
No, Darcy Lawler. And a friend of mine has named his... A friend of mine has named his son Darcy, and I don't talk to him anymore. And Stephen is a St George fan. He won't brook any discussion of this. Now, you played with some of the greats like Tommy Raudonikis and Dallas Donnelly, but I believe your favourite player from the era was John Snoozer Elford. Can you tell us a bit about Snoozer?
Johnny Elford, Snoozer. Now, Snoozer got his nickname through Noel Kelly because Noel used to pick him up on the way to training, and he was a truck driver, Snooze, and he used to have a snooze in the truck and then go to training. So that's where he got his nickname. But yeah, John, when I came to grade, I was a fresh-faced 17-year-old, and I played with John Elford, who had a reputation, him and Jimmy Cody. But Snooze was just a great bloke and tough as they come. I mean, when you got him in your side, you feel 10 feet tall and bulletproof, and it was just the same because he would do things and take people on without hesitation. That's how tough he was.
Mick, a couple of questions. Did you ever cross paths with Bumper Farrell?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Any stories to tell?
No.
No.
I'm lucky because I ran into him at the Sands Hotel at Narrabeen one day because I used to knock him out. I used to go surfing at Narrabeen and knock around with a few blokes there, and Bumper was there one day. But no, I know he had a reputation, but maybe he was a nice bloke.
Yes.
As far as I know.
Yes.
Obviously a reputation.
You've read the book?
Not yet.
No, you should.
Which one?
Now, I've got a question. I'm a Dragon supporter, not because of my dad, but because of my father. And I think rugby league and fathers, there's a lot of things that pass through from one generation to another. My dad used to take me to the cricket ground, didn't wear his colours. He was a Magpie supporter. Originally in Newtown because his father was, but then switched to Western Suburbs when they moved to Concord West. I didn't know that, so I just saw the Dragons coming out and winning, and as a gullible kid or an impressionable kid, I went, right, the Dragons, or the Saints, as I knew them, they're my team. How did you get involved with rugby league? What was the beginning?
I actually played Australian rules first up.
Wow.
Through my best mate, and his father played for the Swans, and he started a little junior team up, which lasted one season, Southern Districts, and then ended up playing with Liverpool City because I played at school. In those days, I had the weight for age.
Yes.
And I played 16 sevens and ended up playing with Liverpool City, how I got involved in rugby league, and played with blokes like Jeff Gerard and Glenn West and Stoles and I, and those sort of guys in those eras. But it wasn't until I came to live in Concord, that I got ingrained in the Western Suburbs Magpies because Concord United was a pretty famous club in this area, and a lot of players went on to play with West. So we'd play juniors and jump in the back of a ute and go shooting out the Lidcombe Oval on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon and watch the game.
That was the game.
Our coach took us out there.
Well, that's a different route.
So it was,
Yeah.
It was a natural progression, I suppose.
Yeah. Did you live in Concord?
I've been here for 45 years.
Okay.
Wow.
Because my grandmother used to say that every time, for a period of time, that Don Bradman used to walk past the house and she'd say, good on you, Don, do well. We always thought she made it up. And then we looked in the books and he lived on Concord Road, 2 doors up.
There you go. Yeah, no, we've got a few famous people in Concord. Andrew Bogut lives here now. But we've got a few gangsters moving in the area. I know that.
You can sort them out.
Now, if we jump forward to the present day, Mick, you're a director of West Ashfield Leagues Club and on the board of the West Tigers, which is now effectively 90% owned by West, as I understand it, hence me as a Balmain supporter wearing your colours because I recognise our masters. How is the joint venture travelling? And, as I said, the word ninth is the most disliked word in the English language as far as I'm concerned. Give us some hope, all the Tigers fans out there, about where we're going.
Look, I think with a bloke like Michael Maguire on board, we're heading in the right direction. It's unfortunate that he's had the legacy of Ivan Cleary's roster, I suppose. And,
legacy, heinous.
I've just seen the team for the weekend, and I think Madge is doing some experiments.
Yep.
Trying to get the right mix of players, but. As we saw, he wasn't too happy about last week. I don't think anyone was too happy about last week, especially the players, the way they performed. But it's a tough gig for Madge. I'm confident that we're on the right path. The merger is going very well, the joint venture. We're all in it together. We just want to make sure that we're successful. We're running 10th at the moment, so not 9th.
Yeah, it feels better.
We've got a few games to go, and I think we'll surprise a few people leading up into the semi-finals, which will be, I think, November now. So let's wait and see, eh?
Well, I think a tough draw means that they can, take off all the things that are restraining them and play with joy, because that's what West Tigers football is all about for me. Look, Mick, I think it's been an absolute thrill to have you on today. I mean, I encourage people to get on Google and have a look at some of the action photos of Mick. You kind of epitomised the 1970s. I mean, you had the mane flowing, the moustache. I mean, it was hard to tell whether it was someone at the Altamont Rock Festival or actually playing rugby league. But I was a huge fan of yours, and I have to say, growing up, and I, as a result of today, solemnly undertake a special application to the High Court.
Yes, that missing point.
See if we can get that point back and finally resolve the Liubinskas affair in the way it should have been.
If you guys can find that and resolve that through any legal matters, I'd be extremely grateful. And then what we might do is invite you guys to lunch.
To lunch.
We'd love to do that.
We've got a bit of work to do.
Mick Liubinskas, thank you so much for being on Fire Up's Quiet Australia.
Thank you, Mick.
Pleasure. That's a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
See you later.
Cheers, boys.
Bye.
Keeps it going. Ferris. Oh, yes. On the last, it goes back to Gale. Gale puts up the kick. Has Gale managed to win it? Incredible!
Now Kennedy to Ferris, the step, the sprint, the try. Great stuff from the Sharks. And well done, young Ferris. Grabs a try.
I like that, young Ferris.
When's the last time you heard?
I'm like a vampire.
I was going to say, when's the last time you heard the word young and Ferris in the same
Every week,
sentence?
Chris, when I step into my little domain with the bubbles and the fake fur bedspread, and what was that band you said? Not Metallica.
Which one?
Erectus.
But Blue Oyster Cult.
Blue Oyster Cult in the background.
I was going to say,
they
Stephen,
all say young Ferris.
It's good to hear you're still doing a bit of role play these days. That's great. It keeps you young.
Yes,
Ferris.
indeed. Listen, the Mick Liubinskas affair is a mystery.
Well,
I'm going to look for that point myself.
I'm pretty serious.
Yeah.
I mean, I know some lawyers, none of them good.
No.
But they might be able to introduce me to the one who is. And look, I think
rectify that thing.
The High Court's had a bit of a tough run lately with the Dyson Hayden incident or whatever. I think this could bring them back into the public eye.
And it could be something for kiddies' parties. You know how they always had the treasure hunt?
Let's
go for that point hunt, kids.
Because, let's face it, there's nothing more important than getting the 2 points. Even when Parramatta scraped over the line against Canberra on the weekend, and Brett Arthur said it was like a morgue in the dressing room.
I don't mind an ugly win.
Yeah, that's right.
I think with the Liubinskas affair, you could probably put a documentary together and put it in the cinema, which you get a lot of people in there that says, what is the point of rugby league? Where is the point of rugby league?
Where is the point?
This is it. Where is the point of rugby league?
Could be in that?
Oh, boy.
He doesn't look like Mick, but...
Oh, it doesn't matter. He'd
becomes.
He'd become Mick. You get the moustache.
What was the movie with John Travolta that was Battleship Earth, based on the L. Ron Hubbard movie, right? Which was the book that he'd written. And him and Forrest Whitaker as these two Cylons. It's this weird buddy movie. And it was absolutely dreadful.
Yes.
Right? There was no way that anyone could have been interested in Scientology as a result of seeing the movie, right?
No.
But
was that the point, Chris?
Well, Travolta blew $10 million on the movie.
Yeah.
Right. But here's the tagline for Battleship Earth. Battleship Earth. It is the year 3000.
Wow. Mick Liubinskas, where is the point?
That's right. Is much better.
Much better.
We're already on the way.
It's a winner, yeah. Now, tell me, Dennis,
yes.
producer Pat, because that's where all the ideas come from now. We're just a dried up sponge now, aren't we? Came up with this great idea. Expressions in rugby league to retire, generally speaking, from the media. But let's face it, people on the hill, your mates,
Us.
There's always one funny guy in the area. And
Ugly win.
Ugly win. A whole bunch that aren't that funny. Personally, their value is, do they get a rise out of the audience one way or the other? Are they loved or hated? And I suppose we're trying to say, should they be put to retirement?
Well, the questions that I'd have, there's two big ones.
Yep.
Been doing it all day.
Ref.
And get them on side.
Get them on side.
Now,
and how many times is that not funny?
It's always funny, but the one that kills, because you hear these when there's been limited crowds, when there's a big crowd in the effects microphones, as you're being a technician for league, as we all do.
You hear them.
You hear it. You want to hear the roar. You don't want to hear some individual clown yelling something stupid. Get him on side. You always do. But the worst. I don't think those should be retired.
Except the one behind Andrew Johns.
No,
they call him bucket ass.
No, there's a woman. No. There's a woman at Brookvale Oval who sits in the family zone just behind where the radio is, and. Come on, Manly! Come on, Manly!
Hang on.
Come on, Manly!
So I think she was sampled for the oven bell. That's her voice, screeching.
Well, it's like the woman in the office, isn't it?
Retire that. Can you say something else? She has nothing else. She needs to retire. That phrase needs to be retired.
Isn't it interesting, though, that they've been doing it all day and get them on side?
They should be retired.
Right, but they're from fans. Have you ever heard a rugby league commentator
Never
utter those expressions?
Never.
There's a divide because they'll say they're offside, right, rather than
surely
doing it all
that's
day.
offside, yeah.
And then repeated infringement would probably be the way they say that they've been doing it all day.
Yeah, they never say that. So we've got some beauties here. Do you want to run through a few? Chris, would you like to have a crack first?
I'll
on a
have
couple?
a crack. We were amazed by the response,
Oh,
Stephen.
yeah. We got a lot here.
I would have been happy with 2. And we got over 100 responses. And we can't give them all due credit. If anyone wants to email me, I can give you the spreadsheet.
So that's what, 4 per listener?
The Rugby League Gazelle came up with either team or player just wanted it more. And to me, that gets me going straight away. It's like, oh, they turned up to play today. Like, everybody turns up to play.
Yeah.
Why does one team want it more than the other?
Yeah.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
Are you saying that the two teams arrive on game day and you can somehow objectively measure and say, oh, yes, well,
they definitely turned
Canterbury
up.
wanted it more.
Yeah.
You can
Is that
tell.
because they park closer to the stadium or something?
There's actually a measure of it.
Yeah.
It's called the scoreboard.
Yeah.
And I know this is close to your hearts, Stephen. Albie Tallarico and Paul Nishaw, a game of 2 halves.
Yes, love that one.
Get rid of it?
Yeah. Well, no, I think it's worth keeping.
But what happens when it happened on the weekend? It was a Dragons game, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Happened a few times in Dragons game. We get a half.
They need to be the next one to score.
You get a half of 2 halves.
Yeah, half.
They come out and score 3 tries, and the Tigers are the same thing. And then the other team scores 3 tries, so it's a half of 2 halves. Is that a game of 4 quarters? Is that AFL? Get rid of it.
Kill that one.
I pretty much argue that the St George Rabbits game was a game of 4 quarters.
It definitely was a game of 4 quarters.
So it's a lot 2 games of 2 halves.
A lot of Gus Gould sentiment where basically a lot of people just want to retire the expression Gus Gould.
Full stop.
Yep. Terry Ball says Gus saying brilliant football, and Roops saying no. Jack Wilson just said the expression Gus Gould.
Yeah, just Gus Gould.
A couple more very quickly.
Yeah.
I'm no doctor. that came from the reserve grader. That's through me.
Yeah.
Dogstar and John Burton were on at Item, and I'm with them. Numbers right or numbers left.
Yeah, right. But with the medical one, it's like, oh, you hate to see that. When really everybody likes to look at an ambulance at a car accident, right? They want to see the broken bone, right?
No, that one was actually given us after. Yeah, it was 3D Habitat. It was a big contributor to Fire Up. He said, I want to see that expression retired. You hate to see it. After they've replayed the injury 18 times from every angle.
Yeah. Look, sometimes I think the dumber the better. Correct?
What do you mean they have to be the next to score?
They have to be the next to score. Isn't that a goal? That's a solid goal, that one, isn't it?
That was Roops again. I'm going off their Twitter handle, so God knows what their real names are. Roops, Huxbucks, and Gordo all had that one.
Oh, did they? Put the Q in the rack. Thanks very much, Dogstar. I like that name too.
Dogstar was terrific. He came up with, or she came up with, a number of expressions: hole runner, leg speed, noted defender.
Leg speed, Laurie Daly, right?
Leg speed's a ripper.
Yeah,
Leg speed's a
numbers
ripper,
right to left. Put the cue in the rack, and
That's
another very
against arm speed.
What happened
That's
between the
against-
ears?
Yeah.
You know, he's got a great football brain between the ears.
and another popular one Dogstar have along with Racing George and Troy Wright, which was he or she has been training the house down.
Training the house down. Oh,
I'm surprised Joint didn't get a mention.
Yeah. Here's a classic
Well, obviously
sort of
people
boring
want to
one.
keep that one.
Bundled
People
in,
want to keep the joint.
bundled into touch. That's the standard one. You can sort of bundled, whatever.
Bundled.
Yeah. Setting the benchmark. One, fuck all. Real name. Oh, there's a Chris Gale here. Here's Don. He's good.
I'm sick
That's
of that.
in a West, isn't it?
I mean, seriously, the next time a commentator, when Anthony Don scores a try, he goes, "This Don is good."
Oh, I laugh every time.
Well, you have mentioned previously off air Fijian flyer.
Yes.
Fiji.
Anyone
Oh.
from Fiji?
Yeah.
From
That's
Fiji.
produced.
Do they
is a
have a
Fijian
cliche for
flyer.
the Papua New Guinea boys? Except for, did you
It's
know?
the national sport of Papua New Guinea. Yeah, it's the only country in the world. Yeah, that one probably should go.
Someone's putting it Australia.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Marlon, thank you,
they've spelt
Marlon.
that wrong because it's Australia. Australia.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a single syllable. There's another one here which, oh boy, I don't like it. Got to lose a premiership to win one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's true.
That's a tedious one.
It's a horrible.
Yeah.
Well, that
Yeah.
happened to you though, didn't it, Dennis? I mean, 87, you go down. Jump
Yep.
2 years later, you win one.
89, 90, then we lose one.
Yeah.
So we lost one.
So you've got to lose
having
one to
won
win two and then lose another one. Is that right?
them. So maybe we lost 91 so that we could win 94. Maybe that was the one. So does that mean we've lost 2019? Goodness.
Adam Gibson and Phil both have them at 6s and 7s. And,
Yeah.
You know, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
Dennis?
That's it. You've got me. I have no idea. 6s and 7s.
Confused, I suppose.
It's
Is
difficult
that a 6 or
numbers.
7? 6 or 7? I don't know. Yeah. They're just lost.
Um,
Like we are.
You know what? I'm guessing that that's a piece of rhyming slang.
Yeah. Now, I agree with this one. The Melbourne Storm score again off a direct result of a penalty.
Oh, get rid
And
of
now
that.
you can say set restart.
Get rid of that. Get rid of that entirely.
That's true.
Karen Lefebvre, outstanding. Brandy Alexander.
Randy Alexander.
Gee, he does. He does like
now,
that.
I have noticed that Braith cops it a bit.
Yes,
Yeah, no, he doesn't. Doesn't at all. Because you've got Paul Neeshaw here saying that anything Braith Anasta says.
Well, we're saying should go.
Yeah.
That was the original-
But that's not enough. There should be thousands and thousands
Yeah,
of people
yeah.
saying. In fact, Paul Neeshaw goes on to say
Yeah.
anything Braith Anasta says, reflecting his schooling at the Benny Elias School of Cliches. I think he can just say anything Braith Anasta says.
Right.
Should go.
Well,
Gotcha.
and we move
What does
on.
he add?
We'll move on. It was poor old Matty Nable this time last year that's copying it. Now it's Braith. What is the antipathy towards Braith in particular?
Do you mean the most frequently, every year he played, he was voted the most overrated player?
Yes, it was true.
Look, I mean,
Yes.
and I said I
It's
don't
like
want
our Corey Norman.
I don't want to pile on again, but when poor old Michael Cheekham was carted off to hospital halftime in the game against the Eels,
Yeah.
the round before last, Braith goes, he's in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, and I'm sure he'll get what he deserves.
Well put. Well put, yeah. State of Origin Bolter. That's a popular one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's so
Kangaroo
obvious.
Bolter.
Yeah, Kangaroo Bolter. The pointy end of the season.
Yes.
The business end of the season.
Are we at the pointy end yet with 8 rounds to go
No.
in a condensed
We're
season?
actually halfway. We're over halfway.
The way I see it is the Tigers and the Dragons, they got hope yet.
There's still-
Which means we're not there yet, Chris.
So you're not going to retire the mathematical possibility?
No, we're
That's what
not.
you're
No
clinging to?
way.
I mean, I think one of the interesting trends here is Maria Recuvera, if I'm saying that correctly. She wants Boom Rookie retired. And Ed Jackson came back straight away and said, no, we've got to keep Boom Rookie. And that's one of the things that I think that a landing that we've come at is that when you actually see these expressions in black and white, you start to go, can we afford it? Because BV, DVD Hunter and Nihad all wanted to get rid of Not His Go.
Not his go.
I don't want to see that.
No, I don't want to see that go.
How else do you express that?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not within the chap's character.
And isn't it a case of
He's a bound- he's not a
repetitive
bounder?
use adds value? The more you say it, the greater the value of it?
Or does that reduce its currency?
No.
Not at all. With
at all.
something like Not His Go,
No.
it's so expressive.
One of my all-time favourites is Our Game.
The people's game.
No, Our Game doesn't deserve that. Our
Yeah.
Game is better than that. You know,
I love the fact that
they don't understand Our Game.
Gus Gould doesn't talk about our game. He talks about my game.
That's
What
right.
have they done to my
They go,
game?
yes, I
Yeah,
know.
you're saying there's no place for that in our game.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
Our game doesn't stand for that.
And you know what? You wouldn't be considered part of Our Game. You're not a player. You never were a player.
That's true.
The only person outside of Our Game that's considered valuable might be Vonnie.
She played.
She played.
There you go. See.
You know where she played? Up on the Sunshine Coast.
There you go.
Sunny Coast Storms.
Yeah, the Storms.
There you
She's
go, you
a
see.
pioneer
Vonnie,
for
the
that.
Sunny
Yeah, I had a
Coast
feeling
Storm. Yeah.
We could go on for a long time. I certainly want to retire another expression, which is you're a long time retired.
And I do love this one. The St George Illawarra GST banner. What the hell is that? Retire that one.
The white paper on tax reform was brought in 1999. The joke is 21 years old. It wasn't funny at the time.
I know. Oh, you're that guy, the GST guy. Yeah, that's
I do
me.
like Ben. It's a very imaginative name. Ben that wants to retire the danger period before half time. And his suggestion is that for the Dragons, that's the 40-minute long danger period.
That is true. I've sensed that danger every week.
And if I could just pay homage quickly to some of the multiple contributors, 3D Habitat, Classic NRL Builder came out with some terrific ones like Hardest Preseason Ever, The Big Dance. Dave Ray had many. Canberra fan, you'd know him, Dennis. He hates it when commentators are calling games in Canberra in the winter and they go, it's a freezing cold night. And when they're calling games in autumn or spring, the commentator goes, surprisingly, it's not cold tonight. Dogstar, we mentioned Gordo. Margie McDonald was fantastic. Full credit to the boys, which is another podcast. It'd be hard to retire that expression,
absolutely.
but go for it, Margie.
Yeah.
Gone to another level.
Yeah.
Masterclass. And we can only control what we do.
Yes.
And by the way, Lynn mentioned Rubber the Green. She wants to point out this is not golf.
Right.
Paul Neeshaw, we've already mentioned. Phil had some great ones. Probably the one that will never go, which is Rugby League, was the winner on the day.
Oh, yeah.
Roops, Scotty McGregor, asked a lot of him. And Senior Sources, who was our game, Stephen. Strike, what about this bloke? Some of the absolutely fantastic. But I guess if there was Tiger 2047, what a player he is. What a signing he has been. What a tackle that was.
Yeah.
Obviously,
They gotta go.
a fan of the language. Troy Wright, good round the boys, training the house down.
Yeah.
But I'd probably like to leave on Silver X because Silver X wants to retire an expression that's particularly close to my heart, and that, of course, is 6 again.
No one wants to retire ninth. Because I just wonder if that would be good. Because a lot of hotels won't have a 13th floor. They go lobby 1 to 12, then 14.
So in Tigerland,
could have
no ninth.
Maybe that it should be 1 to 8, and then there's 10.
Don't say the word 9 to Madge, right?
The West Tigers are currently in 10th place and loving it.
And wasn't the greatest story of the week was the horse kick from Madge Maguire? Didn't that get all the attention this week?
First of all, chairs are people too. I just want to point that out.
Even plastic ones.
Secondly, I don't want to attack the media because I feel like I'm part of the media. Yeah. But the report on last night's news was West Tigers say that Michael Maguire's fury is a good thing.
Yeah.
Showing, he's not ringing the Cowboys for a job, but he's showing the passion. Yeah. That wasn't fury. That was a dainty back heel.
Yes. Just get out of my way, just quietly.
Yeah.
It was just a little stomp.
Yeah. It wasn't Stewart-esque. Can I say that?
No, it wasn't. No, Ricky comes from the front. Ricky
rang him. And he says, Madge, come on. We need to talk.
Do better than that.
Because, of course, Madge is a Canberra boy.
Yes,
let's not forget that.
You're letting down the team.
Done. See you next week quietly.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Because I'm all fired up. I'm all fired up and lonesome. I got a chip on my shoulder. I'm acting just a little too tough.